In the calm, pleasant town of Modesto, California, a seemingly fairy tale love story turned into a chilling nightmare on Christmas Eve 2002. Laci Peterson, 8 months pregnant, vanished without a trace. Her abrupt disappearance sent shockwaves through her family, friends, and the entire tight-knit community. In this peaceful town where everyone thought they knew their neighbors, fear and suspicion began to seep in. And the one to raise eyebrows was her loving husband, Scott Peterson. As probes delved further into the labyrinth of lies, deceit, and disloyalty spun around, it was their perfect relationship portrayed by the media that came crashing down. Scott Peterson, the seemingly devoted husband, was under the microscope. With every turn of the investigation, the facade started to crack, revealing a web of deceit that was as shocking as it was disturbing. It wasn't long before the first bombshell hit. Scott had been leading a double life. The discovery of his extramarital affair with a massage therapist shattered the image of the loving, expectant father. This revelation, coupled with the couple's mounting financial troubles, added another layer of complexity to the case. Each new piece of information was like a twist in the knife, further muddying the waters of what had once seemed like a clear-cut case of a missing person. The mystery deepened as the focus of the investigation shifted towards Scott's puzzling behavior. His actions on the eve of Laci's disappearance raised more questions than answers. The inconsistencies in his alibi, his seeming indifference to his wife's disappearance, and the lack of emotion in his public appeals for her safe return. All of these pointed towards a man who was hiding something. The prosecution painted an unforgiving picture of a man desperate to escape the impending responsibility of fatherhood and the confines of marital life. As the noose of suspicion tightened around Scott, the once peaceful town of Modesto was gripped by a chilling fear. The man they had all known and trusted was now a prime suspect in a horrifying crime. As the quest for Laci escalated, suspicion began veering towards Scott's uncanny behavior and questionable actions on the eve of her disappearance. The unraveling of this tragic tale of love and betrayal left a community in shock and a nation captivated. The search for justice was just beginning, and the road ahead was filled. The prosecution painted an unforgiving image of a man desperate to escape the responsibility of an impending fatherhood and a confined marital life. Scott Peterson, the once doting husband, was now the prime suspect in his wife's disappearance. The courtroom proceedings were tense, every piece of evidence scrutinized, every testimony weighed. Scott, in the eye of the storm, stood accused of the heinous act of murdering his wife, Laci, and their unborn son. The public watched in horror as the trial unfolded, as the man they once knew as a loving husband was now a potential killer. The prosecution's case was strong. They pointed to Scott's extramarital affair, his questionable actions on the eve of Laci's disappearance, and the couple's financial struggles as evidence of his guilt. Yet, the defense was not without its own arguments, casting doubt on the prosecution's case and suggesting other possibilities. As the trial progressed, the public's reaction was a mix of shock, disbelief, and horror. The media frenzy added fuel to the fire, with every twist and turn in the case making headlines. The trial had the nation on the edge of their seats, waiting for the verdict. In the controversial aftermath of the trial, opinions about Scott's guilt remained divided. As conspiracy theories and appeals punctuated the narrative, the entire case was thick with doubt. The trial may have ended, but the saga of Scott Peterson continues to be an enduring enigma, with questions about justice and truth still lingering in the air. In the end, the Scott Peterson case, a twisted tale of love, lies, and murder, deep dives into the enduring enigma and contention of one of the most infamous criminal cases of the early 21st century. Scott Peterson, once a charming, doting husband, now resides on death row, the grim culmination of a twisted narrative that has gripped the nation. Yet, even as the cell door slams shut, the whispers of doubt persist. Echoes of possible innocence and cries for retrial reverberate in the public sphere, casting long, wavering shadows over the case. Conspiracy theories intertwine with hard facts, creating a tangled web of speculation and uncertainty. Was justice truly served, or has the real culprit escaped the grasp of the law? While Scott remains on death row today, the dark shadows of doubt and speculation concerning the real story behind Laci's tragic demise linger.